Welcome to the Explainer. So what if you could predict an election? Not with polls, not with pundits, but with a simple formula. Today we're diving into a fascinating model that says you can do exactly that.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Can you take all the chaos, the passion, the history, and the messy strategy of an election and just boil it all down into a math equation? It sounds kind of crazy, but one political model we're looking at says, yeah, not only is it possible, it's the only way to see things clearly.
The idea here is that if you can just zero in on three key forces, you can cut through all the day-to-day noise. You can start to see the strategic landscape for what it really is. We're not talking about opinions here. We're talking about the underlying physics of power.
So, what are these three mysterious forces that supposedly call the shots? All right, let's break them down.
Okay, so the whole thing really just comes down to three letters: S, U, and M. They stand for structural power, opposition unity, and mass sentiment. Let's get into what each one of these actually means.
First up, you've got S for structural power. The easiest way to think about this is like it's the castle the person in charge gets to defend. It's all the built-in advantages of power. You know, the state machinery, the money, the influence. This is the bedrock. It's stable, and it is very, very slow to change.
Then we have U for opposition unity. Now this one is all about teamwork. Is the opposition a single, disciplined army marching in lockstep with one candidate and one message? Or is it just a bunch of different groups all fighting with each other? This variable, this one can flip on a dime. Alliances can form or just completely shatter overnight.
And finally, there's M for mass sentiment. Think of this as the emotional wave of the public. This is the wild card. It's driven by stuff that hits people right where they live: the cost of living, jobs, or just a general feeling that it's time to throw the bums out. This wave can surge up or totally crash based on the news of the day.
So we have our three ingredients: the Fortress S, the Alliance U, and the Emotional Wave M. Now for the really cool part, how they all fit together to create a dead simple formula for who wins. And boom, here it is. This is the core of the whole model, the master inequality that apparently decides everything. Opposition unity plus mass sentiment has to be greater than the incumbent's structural power. That's it. Simple, right?
So, to put it another way, if the opposition wants to have any shot at all, their combined forces, their teamwork, and the public's anger have to be strong enough to literally breach that incumbent's fortress. If that sum isn't big enough, well, the walls just hold.
And this chart just lays it out plain and simple. When that opposition bar on the right, their unity plus the public mood, grows taller than the incumbent's power on the left, that's when the whole political game can get flipped on its head. Okay, so let's switch chairs. If you're the one in power, your whole game plan is to keep your S value bigger than their U plus M. So how do you do it? Well, the model says there are basically two main ways to go about weakening the other side. And you've really got two main choices. You can go for a quiet fragmentation, which is a subtle, behind-the-scenes play to get the opposition to tear itself apart, or you can go for open confrontation, a direct, high-risk, high-reward attack on their leadership. Let's talk about the quiet path first. This is like a slow burn. It's a methodical game of picking off a few of their leaders, feeding different stories to the media to sow confusion, and secretly fanning the flames of their internal rivalries. The goal? To make them fight each other, all without leaving your fingerprints on the scene.
Open confrontation, though, is the complete opposite. This is a gamble. It's loud, it's about public warnings, painting your opponents as a threat to the nation, and forcing everybody to pick a side. You're either with us, instability, or you're with them in chaos. The goal is to shatter their unity, fast and in the open.
And this table just sums up the trade-offs perfectly. The quiet path is slow, but it's way safer. You've got a low risk of public backlash or accidentally turning your opponent into a martyr. The confrontational path, on the other hand, is fast but super dangerous. It can backfire, big time, and actually make your enemy stronger.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? The entire model, all the variables, all the strategies, it all leads to one single clarifying question. And this is it. This is the whole ballgame right here. All the rallies, the speeches, the backroom deals. According to this model, they all just funnel down into this one simple question. Can the opposition's teamwork, combined with the public's raw emotion, become a force that's bigger than the incumbent's built-in power? Everything else is just noise.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Of these three huge forces, the stable fortress of power, the fragile alliance of the opposition, and that unpredictable wave of public feeling, which one do you think is the biggest wild card right now? Because the answer to that question could very well decide what happens next.